So if you are targeting the journalists, you are killing the democracy system.
Het zijn donkere tijden voor de journalist. Verslaggevers staan steeds vaker in de vuurlinie. Niet alleen letterlijk, omdat ze worden vermoord, maar ook omdat ze worden opgepakt, slachtoffer zijn van fysiek geweld, gestalkt worden via social media of bedreigd worden door de georganiseerde misdaad.
27-year-old Jan Kuciak and his fiancée were discovered shot dead at their home. Kuciak often reported on fraud cases linking businessmen with Slovakian politicians.
Hoe kunnen we het vrije woord beschermen? Laurent voelde zich genoodzaakt om hier een oplossing voor te bedenken. Hij richtte een onderzoekscollectief op, Forbidden Stories. Samen met een clubje dappere journalisten van over de hele wereld neemt hij verhalen over van collega's die zijn opgepakt of vermoord. Het doel? Deze verhalen alsnog publiceren.
Forbidden Story is an international network of journalists
designed to finish these stories and investigations.
De verhalen die niet verteld mochten worden, moeten zich als een olievlek over de wereld verspreiden. 25 jaar lang reisde Laurent als verslaggever voor de Franse tv de wereld over om het onrecht te verslaan in gebieden als Kashmir, het Midden-Oosten en Azerbeidzjan. Steeds opnieuw wist hij alle gevaren te omzeilen. Tot die ene dag, in zijn eigen woonplaats Parijs, op een totaal onverwacht moment.
Il est 17h30, édition spéciale sur Public Sénat consacrée bien sûr à l'attaque terroriste qui a frappé ce matin le siège de Charlie Hebdo.
Des hommes cagoulés munis d'armes de guerre en plein cœur de Paris. Ils ouvrent le feu. Abattent un policier, puis revendiquent leur acte.
I used to work in a production company who was in the same building than Charlie Hebdo, on the same floor than Charlie Hebdo. On that day, I arrived a bit later, 2 minutes after the terrorists escaped the building. And I was one of the first to arrive on the crime scene where the killing took place.
Quelques instants auparavant, des journalistes se réfugient sur le toit du siège de Charlie Hebdo.
Fais gaffe, hein.
Un d'entre eux vient d'enfiler un gilet pare-balles. Une fusillade a éclaté dans le bâtiment. En bas, des policiers accourent.
À gauche! À gauche! Là!
Les tirs lourds résonnent alors. En contrebas, quelqu'un crie « Allahu Akbar ». Dieu est le plus grand en arabe.
And so when I arrived, I really first see someone who was been killed, who was already dead on the ground in the street, and I tried to understand what to do to help that person, and then I saw someone arriving, asking me to go on the second floor to see the Charlie Hebdo team, and then so I start realizing that maybe that killing of that guy was related to Charlie Hebdo, and so we run into the offices of Charlie Hebdo. We open the door and then we enter into a very. There were a lot of smoke. There were people and colleagues that I know that were killed and that were dead already, and some people were alive. So one of the first thing I did was to, after seeing that, was to knock on the door of my colleague from Alleen to ask them to come. To help, and then to identify. We tried to identify the people who were alive, and to spend some time with them, and to do nothing except taking the hand of the people, except saying that it's finished, the terrorists are away, and waiting for the rescue team and for the doctors and policemen to arrive. That day was traumatizing, of course, because of the picture I've seen. The Charlie Hebdo attack convinced me of the importance of doing something, and then the idea came as like that. We should think about having an international task force of journalists whose mission would be to continue the work of others who have been killed. And I started thinking with this idea of creating Forbidden Stories from that time. With Forbidden Stories, we are starting investigation when another reporter, have been silenced, whether they have been killed or arrested or kidnapped, and we are here to continue their work.
Malta's best-known investigative journalist Daphne Caruana Galizia has been killed in a car bomb attack.
The burned wreck of Daphne Caruana Galizia's car lies in a Maltese field.
A Malta l'uccisione di Daphne Caruana Galizia appare sempre e di più come un vero e proprio attentato mafioso.
Days after that, we all meet in Paris and we start the Daphne project. And we were 45 journalists, 18 news organizations, not only in Europe, we were even having the New York Times on board with us, and we were continuing the work of Daphne. We were not only focusing on Malta, but it was a very international stories because there was some Azerbaijani money going to the laundromat. In Malta, there was some connection with Dubai, there was some connection with the US, connection with France. And so we were talking a kind of a global crime, so we need a global network to tackle that in a very efficient way.
We want to hold the investigation to account. So is this an investigation that's really going after the people who ordered the killing, not just the trigger? We also want to know what other leads are there that they may not be following that actually throw light on possible other motives for the killing or people who might be behind the killing.
So for 6 months we were working secretly to continue the work of Daphne, knowing as well that it was a dangerous investigation because the killer is free. And that's something very important and unique in what we are doing here, that all the investigation we are leading, coordinating, and pursuing are very dangerous. The killer is still free. The killer just killed someone. The killer is protected by many people and may be able to kill another reporter. So we have to be very, very careful. Our mission at Forbidden Stories is to facilitate the discussion. If you think there is one story that you might be killed for that, and you want that story to be told in any case, we are here for that.
فبالتالي عندنا مثل يقول بالعراق اللي مبلل ما يخاف من المطر. يعني بالنتيجة احنا نواجه الموت بشكل يومي، فمو مشكلة انه يطلع صوتنا. لحد الآن انتجت عشرات تحقيقات يعني عن الأقليات الدينية، عن الفساد، عن البيئة. آخر شهرين تعرضت لاعتداءين من الجماعات المسلحة.
صحفي من العراق، عملت في مجال الصحافة من العام 2010. اليوم يعني لغاية اليوم أنا ما قادر أعمل باسمه الصريح يعني.
بتمنى إنه كان عنا هيدا البريفيليج إنه يكون في يمكن تهديد ما قبل القتل، بس نحن بنتفاجأ إنه إمنا يا مقوصين يا حدا من عائلتنا ميت.
The kind of threat will be very different from country to another country.
Voor journalisten die onder zoveel bedreigingen moeten werken, heeft Laurent met zijn team iets ontwikkeld. Een digitale safebox waarin ze hun gevoelige informatie versleuteld kunnen onderbrengen. Maar zie deze journalisten, die zo gewend zijn om in het geheim te werken, maar eens te overtuigen. Ze moeten dan wel iets doen wat tegen hun natuur ingaat. Hun informatie delen.
We have been trained to be lone wolf reporters. We have been trained to work alone. We have been trained to be very isolated. But we need to know what your work is. And so you need to tell us that.
اللي يخليني أنا يعني ما الذي يجعلني يعني كصحفي أثق في forbidden stories يعني. You know, يعني مش عارف يعني ببساطة شديدة يعني it's not against you or anybody
sure
but يعني احنا في الوطن العربي دايما عندنا مشكلة ان احنا مش يعني لو انا مثلا بشتغل على موضوع معين يعني شائك يعني فانا مش هقول لاحمد الوسعي وهو يعني او مثلا ان انا شغال عليه فايه اللي يخليني اقول لفوربيدن ستوريز ان انا بشتغل على الموضوع الفلاني.
في الاغلب في الوطن العربي احنا بنتعامل مع السلطه ممكن تعمل في الصحفي اكتر من القتل عندنا يعني. الكلام هنا عن صحفي تم اعتقاله هو في حاجه الى دعم كبير اكتر من فكره نشر القصه. لان نشر القصه وهو تحت الاعتقال من السلطه بتاعته ده هيؤدي لمزيد من التنكيل. فانا محتاج حمايه اكتر من فكره نشر القصه ممكن تزيد التنكيل ده.
Yeah, that's a very important question as well. The SafeBox network is not a life insurance. It's nothing. It's not about that. It's not a security measure at all. What the SafeBox network is about, it's about having that conversation between you and us about your ongoing story. And if something happened to you, we will continue your work. We look at the profile of journalists being killed over the past 10, 20 years. There is always something that they have in common. They were, most of them, very, very isolated, without any more support from any newsroom because it was too dangerous to be in a newsroom. And because they are isolated, the killers are thinking that they can get away easily after the killing because no one will investigate the crime, no one will protest on the street after the commission of the crime. So this is what I try to do with Forbidden Stories, and we all try here, is to break that model and to break that isolation. For the past few days, there is a crackdown in Azerbaijan. Journalists working for a media called Abzaz Media have been arrested. And 3 of them were people I know. I met them 2 months ago in Sweden. They wanted to work with us. I was really surprised by the kind of journalism they were doing because they were taking a lot of risk.
Son olarak 2023 yılın noyabr ayında Abzas Medya'nın direktörü Ülvi Hasanli, direktör muavini...
And what happened to them?
So what happened that Ulvi is a director. He went out of his flat, was supposed to take a plane to go to Amsterdam to meet some politicians over there. And once he closed the door, some policemen arrive and arrest him immediately. The second person is Sevinç. She's a journalist. She's actually the editor-in-chief of the Abzas Media. After the arrest of Ulvi, Sevinç was in Turkey. And instead of staying in Turkey, she decided to come back to Azerbaijan, to Baku, in solidarity, and to defend the case of a colleague. She arrived in Baku airport. She was immediately arrested. Mama, the third person who was arrested as well, while he was exiting his flight to go in the street, he was arrested as well. So the 3 are in jail now, and that what we learned yesterday that a fourth members of the team was arrested as well.
And what were they investigating on?
They are mostly focusing on the president and the president family that is having a lot of assets abroad, that is in the middle of many corruption cases all around the country. So this, maybe it's not yet translated.
Azərbaycanda aparılan media islahatları nəticəsində üzə çıxan nüanslar onu deməyə əsas verir ki, bu ölkə üçün son dərəcə ağır və ağrılı prosesdir. Abzas media ətrafında yaranan vəziyyət və həbslər göstərdi ki, ölkənin gələcəyinin formalaşmasında mühüm rolu olan medianı əslində baskı altında saxlamaq üçün çalışan güclər var.
They looks like criminal now.
Duruma yaranmasında maraqlıdılar. Hələ də milli medianın dirçəlməsinə maneələr
to support investigative journalism.
Yeah. I'm here because there are two people I want to meet, Leila Yunus and Arif Yunus. It's a couple who are Azerbaijani people living in exile here in Netherlands, who were human rights activists, who are still human rights activists, and the two of them were jailed in Azerbaijan, and they were exposed to torture as well. And I know them because I met them in Azerbaijan. Then they were arrested, they were jailed, and they were forced to exile when they got released. Good to see you. Yes, so happy to see you.
Laurent toont hun de beelden van een reportage waarin zij zelf voorkomen.
Do you understand French a bit or not at all?
En die hij maakte als verslaggever in Azerbeidzjan in 2015. In de reportage toonde Laurent de hypocriete houding van de Franse regering ten aanzien van het regime in Azerbeidzjan.
Nous vous remettons les insignes de la Légion d'honneur.
Légion d'honneur.
Cette Légion d'honneur, Leila Yunus n'a pas eu le droit de l'emporter avec elle dans sa cellule. 2 mois après avoir rencontré le président français, les hommes d'Ilham Aliyev sont venus l'arrêter. Elle et son mari, Arif, un historien d'une 60aine d'années. Depuis, on a très peu de nouvelles de Leila. Voici l'une des rares vidéos d'elle, filmée à la sortie du tribunal 10 mois après son incarcération. Les cheveux ont blanchi, Leila Yunus apparaît fortement amaigrie. Elle descend péniblement les marches du palais de justice. Battue à plusieurs reprises, elle aurait perdu la vue d'un œil. Le 12 août dernier, Leila Yunus a été condamnée à 8 ans et demi de prison. Son mari a lui écopé de 11 ans ferme.
Now, one of the first questions I wanted to ask you is that you know what we are doing. We are currently continuing the work of the journalists from Absas Media. I wanted to know first, do you know them?
Of course, we are friends. They published information about the corruption of the Ilham Aliyev's family. That's why when by telephone we talk, I said, be careful. It's a very dangerous topic.
What was when you told Sevinch that she should be careful about that? What was her reaction?
She says that we understand, of course, but we struggle for future of Azerbaijan.
She said that. And what is your opinion about that?
Is there this new generation of Azerbaijan nations, journalists, they're very brave, really brave. Because when I explain and then say, please be careful, you must understand that every day you will arrest. She answered me, we know about this bad scenario for us, but this is our motherland, it's our country.
You two were in jail. You two were as well arrested in the same kind of situation and for the same kind of struggle. Can you describe the torture you were exposed to while you was in jail?
Leila, we arrested in July 13th, 2013. I was, during 16 months, in solitary confinement of the top secret prison of Azerbaijan, detention center of the Ministry of National Security. prison of the former Soviet KGB. At first, in this secret prison, I was subjected to psychological tortures. I was in small, very small cells, the size of which was 5 square meters. It's like from this till this person. 5 square meters, plus all 24 hours. Was very strong light. Even when I sleep, that's why I don't know it's day now or night. It's like you are alone on the small, very, very small uninhabited island in the ocean. Even no birds, no fish, only you. Total isolation in this stone coffin. I had hallucinations. I began to talk to myself. Of course, I understood that quickly I lost my mind and became crazy. And then on the 9th days of my arrest, they began to torture, physical torture me.
Depuis son élection, François Hollande a reçu la visite d'au moins 4 dictateurs à l'Élysée. Le président Ilham Aliyev, lui, a même eu droit à 2...
This is when Aliyev is coming to visit the Élysée.
Monsieur Hollande, une question pour France 2. Avez-vous pensé à demander à votre homologue azéri de libérer les prisonniers politiques? Nous en avons parlé. Vous avez parlé. Et qu'est-ce qu'il a répondu?
Il allait regarder cette question.
Notamment la question sur Leila Younous que vous aviez rencontrée? Oui. Merci. Merci. Mr. Aliyev?
Monsieur Aliyev, allez-vous libérer les prisonniers politiques de votre pays?
We are connected to those guys, to these countries. We're sending some guys and all as well to France or to Netherlands or many countries. Because of the crisis with Russia, the European member states were looking for some other kind of country to provide them some energy. And then Azerbaijan was in the middle of the table.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for the very warm welcome here in Baku. And thank you for stepping up and supporting the European Union. Because already before Russia's brutal invasion in Ukraine, the Russian gas supplies to Europe were no more reliable. You are indeed a crucial energy partner for us, and you have always been reliable.
Madam President, thank you for being with us and wish you a pleasant stay in Baku.
We have countries from the European Union who are willing to build some good relation with Azerbaijan because they need gas and oil from that country. And on the other hand, we have this thing happening in the prisons where they are putting journalists, human rights activists in jail to avoid critics. So the situation that we are in the middle of those two things, human rights violation on one hand, contracts and business on the other hand. And we, as journalists, we are in the middle of that, and we have to investigate the two and to make sure that we are aware about all those situations. There is no border for threatening press freedom, and we see already what is happening in Europe, in our countries, and how fragile our democracies are. We know what is happening to countries without any more journalists. It's not anymore some democracies. We used to say that democracies are dying in darkness. That's exactly the point. And I really strongly believe that collaborative journalism is the future of journalism.